Hi there, Aquarius. Welcome to your April 2025 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, I'm recording this in the second week of March, and I really feel that a lot of the things that are going to transpire in March are ahead of me. And for some of you listening, this is going to be true for you as well. I'm just going to recap some of the things that are in the future. If you're listening before mid-March, we're going to have a lunar eclipse in Virgo that is happening on March 14th, the astrological new year on the 20th in Aries, and the solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th, and Neptune in Aries on the 30th. So Aries for you is the third house, which deals with communication, teaching, learning. So when I say communication, one of the biggies these days is social media, but it can be, if you're a journalist, if you're a teacher, if you're a writer, those kinds of things can really blow up in this month and beyond and be very significant for sure. For instance, if you're a writer, it's so amazing to have Neptune hanging out in your third house for years. And Neptune, I believe, will go back into Pisces because Neptune and Saturn are both currently in Pisces and will go into Aries in 2025, but then they'll both go back into Pisces towards the end of the year. And, I'm assuming 2026 and beyond, they will both stay in that third house. And that means that you're going to have the discipline of the Aries or the third house. So if you are like wanting to write a novel, for instance, you'll have the inspiration from Neptune and the discipline from Saturn. But anyway, that's just one thing. I mean, this could be teaching something, learning something. That's third house. And, in the month of April, the sun is in Aries. So it's in this very important area for you at the moment, the third house. This can also be your siblings, your neighbors, the local environment. And on the 7th of the month, Mercury goes direct at 26 degrees of Pisces in your second house of earned income. Now, when Mercury went retrograde, it began in that third house. That's another thing that happened in March is that, actually, it's in my future because it's going to happen on March 15th that Mercury goes retrograde in Aries. So in the house that rules in astrology, the third house, and then going back into the second house. And same thing with Venus, starting in the third, going back into the second. So when Mercury goes direct in your second house, if you had some kind of like check that got lost in the mail, for instance, that could be connected to something like this. Just in other ways, it could be like rethinking, any way that you're earning money is a second house. So when Mercury is retrograding there, you're like, and there's like the area of your self-esteem even. Like, am I selling my soul to do this? That can be another thing that is making people reflect on what they're doing. But now Mercury's direct and things should start to really proceed, especially when Mercury goes retrograde in a money house. It can slow down that area briefly, thankfully, because it's only there for a short while. On the 12th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees of Libra, And on the same day, Venus, the ruler of Libra, goes direct at 24 degrees of Pisces, again in that second house for Venus. So Venus was retrograding in that second house, and that could have been also having financial setbacks or delays, and now moving forward. Your values, or what you value, I should say, because values sounds like ethics, but what you value in life, that getting resolved. As for the full moon, that's in your 9th house in fellow air sign Libra. And some of you may be finishing up a course of studies at a university. And what other things? Well, full moons can bring downloads, and the 9th house is the God house. It's also your philosophy. So these kinds of things can provide you some kind of, I don't know if I'd say, yeah, maybe clarity or information, perhaps, about the direction you want to go in from the bigger picture perspective, because that's the 9th house is the bigger picture. For instance, the 6th house that Virgo rules is more like the day-to-day, the smaller picture of the mundane day-to-day, things that you're doing. But the 9th house is more like in the grand scheme of things. And you may get some clarity with this, or wisdom coming to you that can help you, You might be finishing a writing project, and that's another thing too, a writing project, because Mercury started the retrograde in its own 3rd house. And so there might have been something with a writing project, and 9th house is publishing, so that might finish all of that for you. On the 16th, Mercury goes back into Aries, so back into the 3rd house in its own domain. This can be good for your online pursuits, because now you have that direct, and you've got oh, you know what? Mercury goes direct on the 7th, but what I'm saying is it's back in the house that it rules, in the 3rd house. And by the way, this is a general reading, obviously, so it's not going to be, the dates I give are not going to be necessarily accurate for everybody, but they give some kind of a, general overview. On the 17th, Mars goes back into Leo. Well, Leo's your opposite sign, Aquarius, so that can indicate some kind of issue with a legal dispute, a legal matter. That can be 7th house, but relationships can be 7th house. So if you're doing anything where you are needing to fight for yourself, this is what you would want to have. But in terms of relationships, make sure that if you had kind of an uneasy truce with someone, and this could be like a significant other, that you don't reopen the war, because Mars is very aggressive. And this, like it could be somebody that you're getting divorced from. And, it might be better, I think it will be better to stay clear of drama. Usually Aquarians are like that, but you may feel provoked by this person. It might not be hard for you to feel provoked, though, because you're kind of on the warpath. So just, being careful about that. By the way, being an American, I just realized that I wonder if the term on the warpath, if that's politically incorrect, because it might refer to Native Americans or something. I'm not being facetious. I'm really serious, because some of these expressions that we use, we don't realize that they're actually offensive. So I'll have to look that up. If it is something, offensive, I apologize. But anyway, you know what I mean, that you're kind of really trying to do something. Maybe even with Mars, sometimes I feel like there can be vengeance. There can be this feeling of righting a wrong that was done to you. And there, because we had Mars dip back into the sixth house, this this makes me think that there's something with the workplace, and and sometimes that's due to feeling that something was unfair. On the 19th, the sun goes into Taurus. And for you, this is the fourth house of home and family. So you're going to have a new moon here on the 27th, which could mean new developments with your home life, your family. On the 30th, Venus goes back into Aries. So Venus goes back into that third house. Venus can be about money, earning potential. The third house can be teaching, it can be writing or other forms of communication. And of course, Venus retrograded from this area, but at an early degree, a relatively early degree, 10 degrees. So now you'll be able to experience this transit in its entirety. And maybe you're going to earn money from teaching or from some form of communication, online stuff, who knows. All right, Aquarius, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading from me, you can check out the link below, because I have all kinds of readings. I don't know when that was. I started doing combination readings that I offer as a discount. And mainly I did this, I actually from the beginning, when I first started, which is going to be celebrating my 10th anniversary on YouTube in May, so that's pretty wild. I mean, seriously, 10 years is a pretty long time, let's face it. But I used to do it was like a combination reading, analyzing the chart plus transits for the upcoming year. And it was like 60 minutes long for everything. And I'm looking back and I'm thinking, how in God's name did I do that? I just don't understand. Well, it didn't work out very well, and I ended up going way over time. So I, eventually created 2 full-length readings that I combine as one file. But they're looking at the chart for interpretation and then for the transits of the next 12 months. That's called my deep dive. And if you like the tarot too, I have a full-length tarot reading with those 2 astral readings called the Whole Enchilada. And that's obviously at a sale price as well. And then I have, individual readings. Like all those readings are individual readings, love readings, career readings, that sort of thing. You can find out more information at the link below. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye.